Hi BookTube, it's Stephanie, and I do think that they say that the third time's the charm. Let's pray that that's the case. So this is my Goodreads Awards challenge for 2011. The way I went about this challenge was that for each year I looked over all the books and picked out the ones that I actually wanted to read. For several of the years I had already read some of the books, which was fine. They will count when I do my wrap up for every year. And the reason why I didn't pick, for instance, fantasy for 2011 and so forth was because, first of all, 2011, that's 9 years ago now. And I might not be able to get some of the books, and I didn't want to try to really scour every corner of the internet to try to find them. So I basically picked the ones that I was interested in, and here we are today. One thing that I noticed was obviously the most common one is that as the years goes by, more and more people are voting for all the categories, and it was fairly common that the one that placed on the 10th place in each category, they got under 100 votes, which that doesn't happen, I can tell you that today. But so that's what I thought that was interesting, and also that the earlier we go, the more classic booktube books we find, especially for 2011. I have a lot of books here that are very well talked about still today, but back then they were very much talked about. And as the years goes by, there are some books, 2012 and 2013. After that, everything is slightly more blurry, and I don't know if that's because, well, BookTube, we want to review the new things, we want to read the new things, and therefore these new older books are not talked about anymore. But then again, as I said, some of these books from 2011, they are still showing up on best of lists, they are still being talked about. Several of these have booktubers that you can stamp a face on it, and you're like, oh, that booktuber, definitely that book. I found that really interesting, and also kind of a reflection of then what has happened as the year has gone by, because 2017 and 2018, when I looked through those books, yeah, people have those books, but they're not really talked about. They just are there. And I found that really interesting, and probably, as I said, part of this that we need to read the new things. But all in all, of all these 9 years, 2011 through 2019, there are 120 books on my list, and I have not counted sequels in that. So what exactly does that mean? If I read a book and I really like it, and the sequel happens to come up for the next year, then the sequel is automatically on my TBR. Such is life, what to do about it, but here we are. So for this first round I have 8 books, and yeah, let's just get into them. I had 3 of them on my, there we go, on my own physical TBR. The first one being Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Yesterday Reader, I mean, yeah, he's the one that keeps on talking about this. And the reason why I picked this up in the first place was because I saw the trailer for the movie, and I thought the trailer looked cool, but I heard that this was a book, so I wanted to read the book first. Even though I read the synopsis several times, I still just think of the trailer when I think about this book. And it's about a boy that arrives at a place that looks kind of like an orphanage, and this orphanage is stuck in a time loop, and then they all have special powers and someone is hunting after them. I might be completely wrong, that's the impression, let's face it, that the movie gives you, but this is that. So this one is very well known and very mixed opinion nowadays, but I do think that at least the first book is still very well loved. The next one, I don't really need to introduce this. It's just that this has, as the year has gone by, especially since the second book that this author published came out last year, it basically just made me more scared to read this. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Everyone has read this. At least it seems that way. This particular book, I actually don't really know what it's about. I'm gonna be completely honest. I do think that a lot of people associate this book with Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. I personally associate this book with Hannah from A Clockwork Reader because she was the first one I saw talking about this, and also the one who kept on bringing it up. So that's who I'm thinking about. As I said, as the year has gone by, especially since last year when people were comparing The Endless Sea to this one, and they say, I preferred The Night Circus, and I'm like, oh no. Okay, but I will get to it. We'll see when that happens, and that was a huge bang. The next one is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. And I don't really know what this is about. It's about what I remember, a girl who's half human and half something else, and she can travel between two different worlds, but something is happening and she can't. The travel between this world are getting harder and harder. I know it takes place in Prague. That's all I really know. And the booktuber that I associate with this book is someone that used at least to go by the name of Midnight Reader. I can't find her anywhere. I thought she was a very sweet girl, but I can't find her anywhere. If I look for her now, I don't really find anyone that. It's not her, I can tell you that much. So those are the three that were already on my physical TBR. Then I have two that I have out from the library. I am expecting one to arrive soon. But the first one is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. The only thing I know about this book is, first, it's about a boy whose mother is dying, and a monster, this creature right here, shows up, and that it's very, very sad. That's basically what I know about this book. I know nothing else, and I don't have a booktuber who I associate this book with, but again, many people have read this and it's a favorite amongst many. Then we come to one of the ones that I have heard nobody mention at all, and I can kind of get why, but at the same time, this book won the horror category. This is Greyminder by Melissa Moore, and I don't really know why it won the horror category, to be perfectly honest. This is about a woman who returns home after her grandmother died. Her grandmother was in charge of the dead, or something caring for the dead, and when she left, she also left the boy she loved. Some romance in that. I still don't know why this won the horror category. It doesn't make any sense to me, but here we are. And this is the third time I will have borrowed this from the library, so I definitely want to read it, but I can't return it a third time without reading it, so I need to get a move on it. Then I have three more books. One book that I'm waiting for, as I said, and that's Leviathan Wakes by S.A. Corey, who I think is actually two persons, but that's the first book in the Expanse series, and it's a space opera, and it takes place in our solar system in which all planets have been colonized. I don't really know what this book is about because people have been very good at not really saying too much, And this is definitely a book that's still talked about. A lot of people are just starting the series. There is also a TV series, I think, but I think there's at least 6 books out. I honestly think there's more, but I don't have the numbers in my head. So that one I'm waiting for the library. And then we have the last 2 that I will need to purchase. The first one being Dragon Bound. Don't remember the author, unfortunately, but that is a story about a girl who's half human and half ver, and she tries to keep on the down low because they don't really like the fact that she's half human at all. But she gets blackmailed for something, don't know why or what, and she gets blackmailed to steal something from this very powerful ver, who is strong, handsome, the most powerful young heir. Yeah, paranormal romance, even though I think it actually was in the normal romance category. Yeah, whatever. I'm hoping that this is a fun read and something that will go by quickly. And then the last one is one that I have heard somewhat on BookTube, the ones that are more reviewing middle grade, and that's A World Without Heroes by Brandon Mull. This is a story about a world which used to welcome people from other worlds to be heroes. And however, in this world, a mage has now taken over and is control over everything, and he has beaten, killed, executed all the resistance, or he has basically just paid them off. And this man shows up, don't really know what to do, and he basically joins with another girl who has been brought to this world and put together a band of misfits, and they need to try to defeat this mage. I don't know anything else about this, and I know I have recently published that video in which I was going to read more books on my TBR shelf, or at least try to read more before I buy books, and already I need to buy 2. So, life. But what to do? Is there any of these books that you would like me to try to get to as soon as possible? Or is any of these your favorite books that you can't really imagine not have read? But yeah, I'm kind of scared for some of these because, as I said, many people really like them. But we'll see what happens. Bye.